Hey everybody, good to see you again. How you feeling? Well, it's February and we're going to talk about relationships. I'm Dr. Nan Nussel of Beat Down Burnout. And what else would you talk about in February, right? Valentine's Day is coming up and we all want to have better relationships. Imagine what your life could look like if you mastered the science of communication, connection, and building solid relationships. What? Seriously, first time I heard that, I thought, really? Relationships aren't a science. Relationships are an art or maybe hormones, but certainly not a science. Since then, my attitude has shifted. I have had the opportunity to study personality science and really study it in depth, specifically the Bank methodology of personality science. Relationships are longer than a spur of the moment hormonal imbalance, and they're sustained through communication. And when that communication is strengthened by personality science, it's a hard combination to stop. Let me give you a real life example. I'm one of 5 kids, and my mom she's a let me show you. She is a blueprint personality first and foremost. That means she values things like stability, structure, systems, planning, and processes. I don't. I really don't. I think systems and planning have a purpose and a place, but they're not priorities in my life. I am an action personality first and foremost. I value things like freedom, flexibility, excitement, and fun. Okay, so we butted heads a lot. When I would come home from school, and she had a rule that we had to finish all of our homework and a certain number of chores every day before we could go outside and play. Oh, hi guys, come on, join our life. We had to finish our homework and a certain number of chores every day before we could go outside and play. That meant I didn't get to go outside and play a lot after school because by the time I got those things done, guess what? It was dark outside and the street lights were on. Hey, yeah, thanks for joining us. So if the street lights are on, raise your hand if you're a boomer. Guess what that meant? Yep. That meant it was time to head home and come back inside. We couldn't go out and play then. Right? So I thought, that's okay. I'll make up for it on Saturday, right? Wrong. On Saturday, Mom had an entire list of chores that she wanted us to get done on Saturday. She would get up Saturday morning and she would write out her list. And we were supposed to do the things on that list, cross them off, and write our name next to it. I thought my mom hated me. It would take us until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get that list done each Saturday because once we got our stuff done that she wanted me individually to do on the list, then I was supposed to help my brothers and sisters get their stuff done on the list. I really did think she hated me. So I thought, that's okay. When I get to be a doctor, things will get better, right? But no. Mom had a very specific idea of what a doctor was supposed to look like. So when I became a doctor, she criticized how I dressed. She criticized my hair. She even criticized the car I drove. She tried to fit me into this little box of what she thought I was supposed to look like as a physician. Why? Because those were her values, her blueprint values. Blueprints live their lives inside a box. They're very conservative, and that's how they see life. And they think that everyone else should too. I didn't want to be in a box. I didn't want to have anything to do with a box. And I didn't realize until I went through the Bank personality training that those were just our different values. That's just how we looked at life. So I went through the training, and it enabled me to understand that that's how mom saw things, that that's how she valued things. It enabled me to start to speak to her in her blueprint vocabulary and listen to her that way as well. And even more than that, I was able to set up some boundaries that enabled her, that allowed her to live in her values and still allowed me to live in my values as well. And we are both much happier this way. We connect much better, and our relationship is much better off. Now, hey, thanks for joining us. Now, looking back at my 30 plus year in medicine, I can see that I've had similar interactions with my colleagues over the years. I've had blueprint colleagues who discredited me because I wasn't using their system of organization. It's not that I wasn't organized. I wasn't organized the same way they were. They discredited me because I wasn't published in the right articles, at least in their minds. Not that I wasn't published. It's just that the articles I was published in weren't the right ones according to them. They didn't have the right credibility according to them. Are you starting to see a pattern? Now, most of my colleagues are actually, this isn't showing up here. They're actually it's green, so it's not going to show up. They're actually the knowledge type, the green card, the K type. And Ks value things like data, intelligence, logic, research and development, mastery, and technology. They're really cool people to work with. But some of them think that they're smarter than everyone else in the room. And sometimes they like to remind you of that. Now, I don't have a didactic memory. I know the key articles in my field, but I can't always tell you exactly what was written on page 5 of that article. I can tell you what's in the article, but I can't tell it to you page by page. And I can't necessarily tell you what was published yesterday, probably because I was up all night taking care of patients, because that's my job, right? And I'm not into that kind of one-upmanship, not really, but some people are. I also work with a lot of nurses. Now, nurses tend to be the nurturing personality type. The nurturing personality type is described as being warm like honey. Sweet like honey, warm like sunshine, and they have a heart of pure gold. They're very, very caring. And they expect you to be very caring all the time as well. I can't do that all the time. I have to set boundaries. Now, my nurturing isn't my first personality type, but it's very, very high. And if I don't set boundaries, then I end up wanting to take all my patients home with me and throw birthday parties for all of them at my house. So along the way, in that 30 years, I've had to learn to set some boundaries. But knowing and understanding the personality science, what I've learned to do is to speak to and hear my colleagues better and understand them better. So working with the blueprints, I've learned to help them write policies and procedures and get them what they need to be able to do that. Working with the knowledge types, I've scanned articles, and when I see one that I know a particular knowledge type colleague is interested in, I'll print that up and I'll bring that into them. And even if they've already read the article, they seem very appreciative of having a printed copy of that. And for my nurturing friends, often I'll bring them treats like baked goods, flowers, bath bombs, but more importantly, I allow them the space to emote. Now, my communication skills have grown with this as well. I've learned conflict management, and the nurse managers have called on me for this a number of times. I've learned negotiation skills, and the physicians have asked me to teach them this for interactions with the C-suite. And I think that's really what I'm here to tell you today, is that I can teach this. I offer that. But also, these same concepts apply in family relationships as well, with your spouse or significant other, and also with your children. And why? Because it's value based. We have these little value cards, and all of this is value based. It's based on the values of the person you're speaking to, not your own values, but the other person, the person you're speaking to, or the person you're listening to. And that makes this priceless. Imagine what your life could look like if you mastered the science of communication, connection, and building solid relationships. You see, it doesn't sound so odd now, does it? If you'd like to learn more, message me. And remember, a rising tide raises all ships. That's it for Beat Down Burnout.